I am sitting down to record my final off-season video for 2023, which means the next time I get behind this camera, I'm gonna be recording week 1 content. So I think we need to send the off-season out with a bang. So let's go ahead and go through my top 100 players for fantasy football in 2023. Yo, Headliner Nation, hopefully you all are just as excited as I am to close out the offseason and get ready for week 1 content. And what better way to do that than throw out our top 100 rankings for the 2023 fantasy football season. Now, there are a couple of notes about how this video is going to go because it's going to be different than what you've seen us do in the past. I can't talk about 100 players and not have this video be so long that people are going to tune out 10 minutes into it. We've literally recorded thousands and thousands of hours worth of content this offseason, diving deep into numbers and explanations on why we have these rankings the way we do anyway. So this video is going to be quick hitting. I've got a few points that we're going to talk about at the beginning of the video, and then Taylor has picked out a nice soundtrack that we're going to play over the top of our rankings, and then you'll have the opportunity to sit there and go through them at your leisure. I'm trying to make this one a little bit quicker. I know y'all got to be drafting soon. Let's go ahead and get this done so you can dominate. All right, so before we get into the rankings, point number 1 I want to bring up is when you look at these rankings, there's not any quarterbacks in them. And let me explain why. Drafting quarterbacks is really personal preference because when you look at the final season standings of players, you're probably going to see several quarterbacks within the top 20 or even 25 of most points scored. But just because they score the most points doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be drafting them that high. So these top 100 players are more like flex rankings. We want to show you where you should be drafting all of these other players: running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. And then for the quarterbacks, we'll decide, hey, what are you comfortable? Do you really feel like you need to spend a 2nd round pick on Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, or Patrick Mahomes? Or can you wait till the 5th round and get a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who could end up being a dark horse MVP candidate this season? And for those of you that want to spend a super early pick on a quarterback, just keep in mind, while they might score you more points, you have to look at the difference between what a quarterback in round 2 might score compared to like Trevor Lawrence in round 5. And then go ahead and compare that to what a running back in round 2 would score compared to a running back in round 5, or even a wide receiver. That's why drafting quarterbacks early isn't necessarily always the best bet. And we've broke that down in tons of videos already this offseason to show you that just picking a quarterback in the first couple of rounds doesn't necessarily make your team better just because they score more points. So keep that in mind as you dive into these rankings. All right, my second point is how drafts should really look this season, because I get a lot of questions. In fact, just the other day, I got a question: should I draft Tyreek Hill or Bijan Robinson in the 1st round? Those are 2 great players, and quite honestly, you're probably not going to go wrong with either of them. But it really is about what do you want to chase over the next couple of rounds? Because the best start to any draft this season, and again, we broke it down by the numbers, is going to be starting wide receiver, running back, or running back, wide receiver, running back. 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds, and get your alpha wide receiver in either round 1 or round 2. And by keeping that balanced approach, you're going to get 2 running backs that you feel like you can really rely on, plus your alpha wide receiver, who will likely go a little bit earlier in drafts this season. Keep in mind, running backs are getting a pretty decent discount this year. In round 3, there are several guys that you could end up grabbing that have an opportunity to still finish as a low-end RB1. So yes, our rankings are going to show you here. If you're trying to figure out, do I go wide receiver or running back? Do I go tight end or wide receiver? What do I do here? These rankings hopefully will help you out with that a little bit, but also take into account, what do you feel more comfortable with? If you draft a running back in round 1, are you more comfortable chasing your wide receiver 1 in round 2? Or do you see enough value that, hey, I'm going to chase my running back 1 in round 2 because I love getting my wide receiver 1 right now? All right, let's talk about tight ends for a second here, because I don't think I've ever used a 1st round pick on a tight end. And if you want Travis Kelce this year, that's what you're going to have to do. So do you really feel that comfortable with it? And if you don't, what are you doing in the later rounds to make sure that the tight end position isn't a headache for you all season long? Let's face it, there are 3 tiers of tight ends right now, and tier number 1 is Travis Kelce all by himself. Tier 2 has some potential safety at the tight end position, but they all come with question marks as well. Mark Andrews, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Darren Waller. Those are all guys that you can probably start getting like in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round. And then honestly, everybody after that is a crapshoot. At that point, you're looking for guys that you hope are going to score you some touchdowns because you don't know if you can rely on any volume whatsoever. They're going to have up and down weeks, and those are the guys that could have problems. So where do you draft a tight end? Right now, I see a lot of people trying to go for that tier 2, or they're just going to completely say, screw it, I'll draft a tight end later on. And based on the amount of points that these tight ends are scoring, honestly, you want to make sure that you fill in your roster with your wide receivers and your running backs, maybe even 3 of each before you invest in the tight end position. Heck, you may even want to draft a quarterback before you draft a tight end this year. All right, and one more note before we jump into our top 100 players. For those of you that haven't drafted yet, or maybe you already have, having a good fantasy team is like having a really good shirt that just fits you perfectly and is as comfortable as can be. You all know that one shirt that's hanging up in your closet that you're like, that's my go-to shirt. When I need to be comfortable, that's what I'm grabbing. Well, you know what? I think I've got an option for you all. So I'm gonna bring Taylor in to tell you about it.
Marine Layer is our sponsor for today's video, and they're giving Headliner Nation an exclusive discount of 15% off your entire purchase at marinelayer.com. Just use code word headliners15 at checkout. The quality and feel of Marine Layer clothes is really unmatched. I picked up this denim button-up shirt and also these black jeans that just fit incredibly well, and that's something else that I want to point out. Marine Layer makes it easy to get the perfect fit for your clothes. They have these in-between sizes. This is actually a marge, a medium large, and they also have a large, extra large kind of like mashup that they call a larger. I think we can all admit that the perfect tee can be hard to find, but look no further than Marine Layer. And for a limited time, 15% off with the code headliners15 at marinelayer.com. That's code headliners15 for 15% off your entire order at marinelayer.com. They're saving your closet one shirt at a time.
Taylor, I appreciate the quick word from our sponsors, Marine Layer there, but now it's time for the top 100 players. We've got some nice music. We're going to scroll over the top of these rankings for you. If you need to pause or go back or look through them, do whatever you need to do. If you need more reasons on why we have players in certain positions, then just go back through our channel or look in our draft guide. You're going to find tons of deep diving information. That's not what this video is for. I'm not going to spend the next hour diving into all of these players. We've talked about all of these guys at some point this offseason. Now it's time to just set our final rankings. Let's roll it. Yo, Headliner Nation, I appreciate y'all tuning into this video. I know it was different and maybe you didn't like it or maybe you did like it, but whichever way it was, leave us a comment down below and let us know what you thought about the layout of this video. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna get out of here. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel. Check out all of our content. Make sure you hit that like button as well. Do not leave this video without hitting the like button. It's easy and it's free to do, and it's a great way to help support the channel. But for now, I'm going. Peace out, Headliner Nation. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch you all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.